Sorry, just another stereotype. It's exhilarating and it's fun and it's pleasurable. And when you're in it, you're so absorbed by it and the coolness of that moment that you forget about everything else. It's like a high, it's like a rush. It's so cool. And because of that, it can be used as escape from pressures and frustrations and disappointments and depressions and despair and everything else. And suddenly there's a moment that, if we just engage in this, there's such a rush. And we can feel so alive, so in the moment. And it's like all of that junk is just not there. And it's like for a minute, I'm alive, I'm free, it's cool, it's awesome, it's love, it's fashion, cool. Except, after the moment, it didn't fix anything, but it added guilt. And it complicated relationships. And it actually puts more pressure on life, which you get in the habit of trying to escape. And so God just said, be careful, because when your dreams have been shattered, you can't get there from here. You could become bitter, or you could just become sexually reckless. It's just going to happen. And then the other path that was mentioned in that one is the path of least resistance. He talked about Esau, which all of the Hebrews to whom he had written would be very, very familiar with this story, and his whole deal of selling the birthright. The idea was Esau is the oldest son, therefore under the law of the land, he got the lion's share of inheritance. He had the authority, he had the influence, he could give direction, but he'd been hunting all day, hadn't got anything, was famished, and he sold all of that for basically a bowl of beans. And it was like, I just want to feel better, just for right now. I just have this need right now. I want to do this, and I'm gonna just trade away my future influence, my future opportunity, just because it really doesn't matter that much to me. I just want to live, in the moment. And what can so very often happen is that when we face shattered dreams and we feel hurt and we feel frustrated and maybe we develop self-image problems, or maybe we start upset with other people, what we can do is we can decide, you know what, I don't have the energy left, I don't have the strength left, I don't have the resolve left to continue to leverage my gifts, my experience, my knowledge, my wisdom, my talent, to leverage it to advance the kingdom of God. Spiritual opportunity, spiritual influence. Because after all, if you try to leverage what you've got to advance the Spirit of God, you will always be opposed, and you'll have people misunderstand, and you'll have people talk about you, and you'll have people resist, and it's like, I'm just trying to do good, but it gets so hard, and right now I can't deal with the hardship. And so I'm willing to trade that off for can I just have a decent life right now? Because I really don't want to go through that pain, that frustration, that hardship. See, when we face those shattered dreams, and it's like, oh man, our world can feel turned upside down, or a big piece of it seems like it's forever gone. It's like, I just don't know that there's not enough of me to give, because if I do, I could face that, and I just never mind. You can have the spiritual influence, you can have the opportunity, because it comes with, it's just too much hassle. When I was a senior in high school, my academic advisor came to me and he said, Dave, in order to graduate, okay, and you have my attention, I do want to graduate, you have to have at least, this is embarrassing, you have to have at least one math class. No, this was the 70s. I'm not sure. Well, actually, I am sure what we did in school. That was the problem. And it was like, you gotta have at least one math class. And I'm like, seriously, I hate math. At the time I was signed up for, and again, without exaggeration, I was a teacher's aide in 2 English classes. I was a teacher's aide in 2 PE classes. And then I had PE, and I had recess, and I had some class that basically taught you how to balance a checkbook because they realized that you were about to go out into life unprepared. So that was my schedule. And they came to me and said, you got to have a math class. And I remember looking at them and going, okay, what's the easiest math class you have? And they looked at me and said, well, general math. I said, I'm in. And I remember going to school the first day, general math. I'm going, oh, math, I can't believe it. I hate math. I don't want to do math. I'm going to sit down. Okay, I'm going to have to have one hard class. In high school, they said, okay, our first unit that we're going to spend the next 3 weeks is double-digit addition. And I'm thinking, cool. Because I learned that in my first grade. And so double-digit addition, and I'm doing this, and other people I don't appear to be struggling. I'm like acing it. It was so awesome. And then we moved on to subtraction. And from there we moved on to multiplication. And then we moved on to division. And the last week of the class, by far the hardest, fractions. And of course, I am absolutely hitting it up. No work. Grade A, my grade point soared up into like the C range. Soared because of this math class. It was easy. It was a piece of cake. I felt good at the moment because it was the path of least resistance. Problem is, I learned nothing. I wasted my time. And later on in life, when I needed some advanced math, even if it was helping my children, I had exactly zero to offer because I leveraged future opportunity for just an easy path now. And unfortunately, we all can do the same thing when it comes through life. We can take a tougher path because I'm going to leverage my stuff for spiritual influence and opportunity. It inevitably means there's going to be, hardships and difficulties. That's just the way that path works. And we can trade it off and say, I just want it easier now. And our life ends up being wasted. And so God is just looking at those people, and then through them, looking at all people throughout the history of the world who've ever had dreams shattered. They can't get there from here. And he says, it's just a dangerous time. Be really, really be careful, because in those moments you're going to be so tempted to either walk a path of bitterness, or to walk a path of sexual recklessness, or to walk a path of least resistance. And all those paths will do is fix nothing but ensure that other dreams you have can't come true too. Just be careful. And know the right path to walk. And what is that right path? Here's how we're going to end our time. I told some extra stories because I had time to kill. Now I don't. One story, one point. See, this is what I love about the Bible. The Bible, so much of it is being able to vicariously observe the lives of people as they go through the very same things that you do and I do. Real people, flesh and blood people. And we can see how they experience God, how they open to God, or how they turn from God, and we can see how they choose good paths or bad paths, and where those paths lead, and we can learn so much by people just like you and me going through the same stuff we do. And I want to talk about one of them when it came to shattered dreams. His name was David. And I don't want to talk about David, killing Goliath. And not David, the king of Israel, who had all these successful military campaigns and ushered in peace and prosperity. And it's not the David who composed beautiful music, much of which we still have in a book called Psalms in the Bible. Not even the David who just really messed up one day and had an affair and tried to cover it up, and it caused a lot of pain. Because not even that ruined all of his dreams. It's something did. David was probably, historians figure around 45, 50 years old. And the kingdom was prosperous and peaceful, and things were going really, really well. He had a son. It was his oldest son. His oldest son's name was Amnon. And Amnon was in line to be the next king. That's kind of the way it worked. And Amnon was a kind of a shrewd guy, but he fell in love with his half-sister Tamar. That, by the way, then, just like today, is kind of a no-no. You don't do that.